And a bootleg Aladdin racing game? Methinks I'm gonna have to find a copy of that for a future video. Methinks I need to stop giving myself ideas like this. To be honest, as weird as it is to say, this was tougher to get than I thought it'd be. Only recently did I start seeing copies of this game pop up that were decently priced. But regardless, I did it. Took me a year and a half, but I got a copy of Aladdin Magic Racer for the Wii. And now I'm gonna share it all with you today. Oh, the things I do for you all. So right from the get-go, this game does not give a great first impression. Like, yeah, Aladdin is public domain, so it's not like they're crossing the line of Disney copyright, but even still, I get the feeling they were hoping people would buy this, thinking it had a connection to the Disney movie. And the further we get into this game, that'll certainly be more apparent. Though I mean, hey, Aladdin's one of my favorite Disney movies, and I did buy this out of more of a curiosity of that connection, so I guess I could be considered part of the problem here. As we've discussed in that previous video, Aladdin Magic Racer was published by Red Wagon Games, who also published the previously reviewed Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Wii game. However, this time around, our developer studio is HydraVision Entertainment, a company I can't say I particularly recognize for anything else. Though apparently they did develop the Wii and PS2 version of that Alone in the Dark reboot that everyone hated. Nowadays, HydraVision goes by Mighty Rocket Studio, though it doesn't look like they've really done much since that name change. But with that said, let's talk about the game itself, which, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think this is gonna take much time at all. So to start things off, apparently this game has Wii balance board support. You know what? Given this is a magic carpet racing game, I think that actually makes sense. Didn't try out the feature myself, so I have no idea how good or bad it is. I'm gonna presume it's not very good though, but I'll at least give credit for taking advantage of the concept. It is pretty fitting. Beyond the balance board though, the only available control scheme is the standalone Wii remote. Yes, this is going exactly where you think it is. But before we talk about the inevitable tilt controls, let's get a look at our roster. Aladdin Magic Racer has 5 playable characters, and despite the game being called Aladdin Magic Racer, we actually don't have anyone in this game named Aladdin, meaning the name was entirely used in the title just to help sell it. Instead, our not Aladdin here is named Siddhartha, and he's joined by our not Sultan Tariq, our not Jafar Farouk, our pink-haired not Jasmine Kali, and Shivat. Well, they've got at least one original character. Now that said, I probably should judge these characters as their own entities, rather than obligatorily compare them to Disney characters, but given there's no story or any character interactions or bios, I've got nothing else to work with. Also, the game literally used Aladdin in the title and title alone, so it was asking for it as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that's our full roster. And track-wise, we've got 8 tracks separated across 4 themed areas. And with that fact alone, it potentially taking the worst racing game title from Billy the Wizard isn't looking likely. That said, the game's box does say it's got 16 tracks, but nope. The other 8 are just the already existing 8, just in mirror mode. Whoops. Alright, with all that said, time for the game itself. So you know how many kart racers have a starting boost trick for the beginning of the race? Well, this game's got one too. The hints do tell you to, quote, pay close attention to the countdown to get a good start. But nah, just shake the Wii remote up and down constantly during the whole countdown and you'll get that starting boost every time. Having said that, yep, all your guesses were right. This game's a tilt the Wii remote to steer your character racing game. Or at least, kind of. Here's the thing with this game. You not only auto-accelerate, but you're also, for lack of a better term, on rails. Every track has permanent guardrails, meaning it's impossible to fall off, and your turning is less to turn and more like changing lanes in an auto runner. Even when the track itself turns, the game just does the turning for you. Now granted, yes, the tracks do have these rainbow archways that serve as boost pads, and there's various birds flapping about for you to avoid, but that's all you have to worry about when it comes to track design. Okay, actually, not entirely true. There are also power-ups, which are given to you from... Okay, hold up. I know I said this game's not crossing the Disney copyright line by using Aladdin in the title, but this is really close to that line. But anyway, as I was saying, Bootleg Genie here gives you power-ups, and they're pretty standard stuff. Boosts, projectiles, screen obscurers, and so on. But yeah, that's all you really gotta worry about when racing on these tracks. Changing lanes to hit boost pads and avoid birds, and using power-ups. Otherwise, the game's basically on autopilot, and since it also lacks any real mechanical depth, this game gets boring fast. Like, the only other mechanic this game has is a drafting system, where you can build up speed by being right behind an opponent. But beyond that, the only things you can do in this game are quote-unquote steer and use power-ups. And what doesn't help is the tracks themselves. They do very little to keep things interesting. I already mentioned how there's permanent guardrails and that the only stage obstacles are just birds, but there's also split paths sometimes, which should provide some variety. but oftentimes they're about the same length, so choosing one over the other doesn't usually carry much strategy. Oh hey, there's also ramps that would likely lead into a trick system in any other racing game. Not in this one though. And these tracks get long. Like, several of these races can last anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes, which may not seem that long, but with gameplay this dull, trust me, you will feel every second of that time. I know people like to use the expression boring me to sleep as an exaggeration, but honestly, I felt that unironically at several points. And I recorded my footage in the afternoon, I wasn't even that tired. The only other thing the tracks sometimes offer are these scripted sequences that require you to shake the Wii remote up and down a bunch. And trust me, these are some really exciting scripted sequences, like running across a boardwalk, and going up a steep hill that's causing you to hang off your magic carpet. Except in the latter case, there's basically no penalty for not doing it, and you hardly go any faster if you do end up doing it. Though to give some credit, I did get a laugh out of deliberately not doing the boardwalk sequence. As for the technical stuff, the game runs fine, didn't experience any frame drops or glitches or anything, but like the gameplay, the audio-visual aspect is really unremarkable. The game's graphics feel like a cheap Wii game, which, well, it is, and the music is completely forgettable. I genuinely don't remember a single piece of music in this game. But yeah, I know I've used the expression, what you see is what you get, a fair bit when describing stuff in reviews, but this game really is the epitome of what you see is what you get. There is nothing interesting about the gameplay. And to be fair, the tilt controls work fine, so it at least isn't a mess functionally like Billy the Wizard or Action Girls Racing, but I can easily say this is the most boring racing game I've ever played. Everything works as intended, it's just that what the game's asking you to do is not engaging at all. Also, hypothetically, you could do a no-input run with this game, but honestly, I was too bored to even try. Though that's not everything the game has to offer, because there's also mini-games! Hooray! We got 4 minigames in particular. The first is a Magic Carpet Rodeo, where you need to quickly follow the on-screen prompts to not fall off your magic carpet. Speaks for itself. Then you got this Outrun the Boulder challenge, where you need to keep your speed up so that the boulder doesn't catch up to you. Except there was no boulder when I got a game over, I feel ripped off. The third one's quite literally the Starball challenges from Mario Galaxy, right down to the music speeding up and slowing down depending on how fast or slow you're moving. This one's the best of the minigames, but even then, it was just eh. And the last one is multiplayer only, so I didn't get to try it out. And that's everything. There's no other racing modes, nothing to unlock. You can experience basically everything this game has to offer in less than an hour, which granted, yes, is still more than Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on Wii, but even still, that's not very good. Sorry this review ended up being as short as it was, but well, what else do you want me to say? Once again, this is easily the most boring racing game I've ever played. And even though it's not as bad as some other racing games I reviewed, I think I'd still rather play those worse racing games again, if only for some ironic laughs with friends. Aladdin Magic Racer though? Yeah, no, I've got zero reason to go back to this. Except for if I'm ever having trouble falling asleep, because this game will definitely do the trick. Maybe the magic part of Aladdin Magic Racer is that it's secretly the true cure to insomnia. But anyway, happy to finally have this off my plate. I once again apologize for the shorter length of this video. I'll try to make up for that soon. In any case, this has been BenjaMage, and until next video, have a nice day everybody.